All right, guys, we're back working on the 14 bolt axle. So in my last video, seems like a lot of you were interested in, the rust scaling and the homemade tool to remove the spindle nut. One thing I might have misspoke about, I wasn't sure if there's supposed to be a bendable locking tab or locking washer, I guess you call it. So because this differential has the ribs on the back of it, it's 87 and up, I believe. Anyway, it's a really easy design. It just has the parts that I showed in the video, guys. It's just the woodruff key, the C-clip, and the nut itself. It's just super easy and very basic. Those are the three parts right there, guys. Locking spindle nut, C-clip, we'll call it for now. Not really a C, but you get the idea. And the locking woodruff key. That's all there is to it. Older differentials like this one, this is an 83 14 bolt. They don't have the cooling ribs. And from what I gather, they have the locking tab on the inside, on the end of the axles there. All right, switching it up a little bit. I got in the fuel lines. We have the 3/8 and the 1/4 inch for the return, I believe. You can see here on the top of the tank, very easy connections, guys. I'm gonna dig through my rubber hose supply inside my garage and just see if I could come up with some new pieces for this. The center one is just vented, this little vent right here. This is your 1/4 inch return and your 3/8 supply. Go over to the new parts coming in. I just showed you. The 3/8 is PVF coated, which I do like, but the coating tends to come off when I make the flares on the end. I guess on the side, on the tank side, I don't really have to make a flare. I might just make a little bubble on the end to lock the hose on, or a little nipple, I should say. I couldn't find the 1/4 inch line. This is actually brake line, but I found it in galvanized. I could not find it in the PVF to match this. So it's gonna have to do, and it'll be a good test over time. Keep an eye on it, see which one starts corroding first, but hopefully they last another 30-40 years. All right, we're gonna try the handy dandy DeWalt 18 volt impact gun. I absolutely hate this thing, guys, but I always try to use it, and pretty much never works ever. I'll try to remove these bolts holding the backing plate on. Got one broken off right there, and I'll try for the other three. We'll see how it goes. All right, like I said, biggest piece of junk I've ever bought in my life, guys, and I got brand new batteries. All right, get that on there. Works like a charm. Terrible every time. All right, guys, so I started cutting these bolts off. I have new backing plates and all the hardware, new shoes, drums, etc. But I was trying to get these out because I wanted to utilize the holes in the backing plate mounts. I said in an earlier video, the new backing plate, I have to space it out about 1 inch. So I might end up just welding a thicker flange or some round tubing on here with new threads. Might just be a different design. So it might not matter, but I would have loved to get the bolts out. I just can't get it. So I basically just have the grinder going around in a circle, and I'm just slicing them off. That's what we got left, guys. There's a decent amount of meat left on this backing plate mount. I'm gonna go grab the brackets that I have, and I'm gonna mess around with some different ideas. I'll grab the backing plates also, and I'll see how far out. I believe the backing plate, the new mounts have to land somewhere around here. I'm either gonna bite the bullet and just order these online. I forget the name of the company that has it, but they don't sponsor me, so who gives a shit. Put it here and just weld it solid. You know, obviously grind this off, take some good measurements first. Or I was thinking if I could have saved these bolt holes, which I obviously didn't. I was thinking about just making up 1-inch round bar in the lathe, just hollow, and put longer bolts. I mean, I could still do that. I could drill all these, cut all these with the grinder flush, re-drill the holes, and weld nuts on the back. Yeah, I got a couple options, guys. I'm gonna see which one I like the best. All right, I want to show you guys the difference in the drums here. You can see on my original, I have, this is almost like a cone all the way up to the hub. Over here, it's much flatter, much smaller cone. If I could get down low enough here, you could see the height difference there. Everything else seems to work. The backing plate fits on, no problem. Like I said, it just needs to be spaced out. The hubs, I fit the bolt pattern over these. Everything fits, so I'm gonna go with it. But if anyone could tell me what these drums and backing plate shoes, etc. are from, I'd love to hear about it. The shoes seem to be identical. They're the same width, same diameter, same everything. Just the width of the drum that's different. Axle length, like I said before, is all the same. I'm going to try to show the difference right here. If I put this like this, lay it across there, and you can see the difference. If I had to measure it from the square stock, not from the taper in the screwdriver, guys. Let's see if that's any better. I could definitely do something like that, measure the difference, and that's my spacing on the backing plate mounts. It's about 1 inch, maybe 1.25 inches. All right, guys, so I did a little homework. I don't think my idea can work. This is the drum I was just showing you guys, and how it's about 1.5 inches too narrow. My problem is that it's shaped differently also. So it has this very square edge here and then a short taper. Everything seems to fit except for my rims. I'm going with stock rims. So when I try to sit this drum down inside the wheel, very difficult to do one-handed as usual. Okay. All right, you could see I'm hitting the rim and I'm about, 4 inches or so up. Granted, the hub will take up some of that, but the hub really only gives me about 2 inches if I'm lucky. So I'd have to come up with spacers on that end also. This is turning into a complete nightmare. I just went online, and lo and behold, I found that Ray Bestis has 5 of these original drums in stock. They're like $100 each, with the shipping and everything like that. I'm sure it'll end up being close to 300, but to save myself a nightmare, I think I'm just gonna go that route, guys. Put the original drums back. I really didn't know they were still available, so happy to find that. And everything else seems to work with what I have. All right, we're gonna keep it moving, guys. Just sprayed some WD-40 or penetrating oil, whatever you want. I'm gonna take the original nuts, kind of screw them on. I like to run them down as far as I can. Of course, I can't do that by hand. Get it down close to the top, and then I'm gonna start hitting it with the hammer there and just get them driven out. Screwed it down with the ratchet. Just get it close to the top. Doesn't have to be flush or anything. You want it a little bit below. This way now, when you hit it, you're hitting on a much broader area. You're spreading out the blows. If you try to just hit on the top, you're gonna mushroom this, probably mess it up. Could use like a brass slug or punch or something like that, but this is probably the easiest. Just take the lump hammer. Just work your way around nice and easy. All right, guys, we're jumping around a little bit. Kind of whatever comes in the mail, I jump on that first, try to get it done, and go back to the fabrication. I'm sure you guys can relate. Anyway, back over to the tank. I'm gonna pull these hoses off. I gotta make them up. I think I said that last time. A little bent here. I was able to pull this little connector off, and it does fit on the new sending unit. Looks like the blue here comes down, and that's my ground. I don't have a connection for that connector. I just have what looks like a spade connector soldered on here. So I'll probably just do the same thing up on the top. I'll probably wrap a wire around it and get some solder going. Should be good on that. All right, so now basically have this locking ring just on here, hand loose. See if I can do this one-handed. Sheesh. All right, jump off camera for 1 second. Pull that guy. All right, finally got it out. Got the new one. Gonna take these screws off and fit the float in there nice and easy. Got a much shorter filter than the one this had. This one was ripped apart, which is kind of weird. But anyway, is what it is. Got a new locking ring, and this is way thicker than I thought it would be, and that's what she said. Anyway, we're gonna try to get that in. We'll see how it goes. All right, guys, ran into a few problems here. My sending unit is definitely a little bit different. I think this one is sold with a fuel pump right here. I don't need it for my application, but my problem is, so this clears the bottom of the tank on this guy. On this one, my vent is down on the bottom, so I'm not sure why. Maybe I have this wrong. Quick update, guys. So that sending unit, I really just would have had to modify it way too much to get it to work. I got in touch with the manufacturer, and it definitely is not for my truck, even though they had it listed on eBay for a 1983 C30 with a 5.7 liter engine. Anyway, we looked at a bunch of pics, and we got the right one sent out. So I might have said before, I unfortunately can't remember what this tank was supposed to be for. I thought it was either a Suburban or a Blazer or something like that. But if you could see down in this hole here, there's like a tray down there, and I think it's just to keep the sloshing gas from hitting the float for the sending unit, because then, you know, your gas gauge will be bouncing around inside the truck. The way this was supposed to go in, like this, it actually was going to hit into the side. I was able to turn it this way, and I would have been either like that, or now I'm like that, which is fine, because like I said before, I'm running the lines down the passenger side frame rail. So anyway, I had to just tape this off. I removed the gasket, put some masking tape in here, and you could see these were the original 2 slots. I had to make 2 new ones there and there. I'll just hit that with a little touch-up paint. And we seem to be pretty good. Let's see if I could do this one-handed. Now it falls right in. You can see my tabs go into those 2 slots, and then put this guy over, and that sits down perfectly, guys. And you can see, and you twist it, The twist locks just go under these tabs on the gas tank. Probably do this with a brass punch in a minute, but I want to just go back and paint those so they don't rust. We're gonna call that done. I gotta run this over to the frame somehow, just like that, nothing fancy. And then I'm gonna start running my fuel lines. That perch so I could set the pinion angle to be the same as that one. I'm setting them just back to stock. If everything pans out the way I want it, I want both differentials to have the same pinion angle. I'm not that worried about what the angle actually is. You could Google that if you want, guys. All I'm doing is setting the new perches identical to the old perches. So what I did was I just put this little jack with a piece of wood under the pinion. What I'll do is I'll let this down a little bit. Okay, so you can see now, you know, everything's too far down. That's not where it's going to go, obviously. But if you look on the digital angle finder, you got 5.3. Now I'm going to crank it up until I get it to 0, and I'm just rotating it on the jack stands. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to keep going up. Got it down to 2.3. I'm literally just slowly jacking it up. 1.5, 1.2, 1.1. Okay, we want to get it as close to 0 as we can, preferably right on 0. Hopefully you guys could see that. Okay, stop. So right now we're on 0. Now I have my new perches here. They're gonna go somewhere a little more inboard. I'm gonna take these bags off. Good thing I had them on there because it poured last night. Gonna go over to the truck in a minute and show you how I'm gonna set the width of my new perches. But for now, I just wanted to get my old perch completely level at 0 degrees. Now I know my differential set at that pinion angle, which this, guys, puts the pinion angle back. As you guys know, you check the pinion angle on the front of the pinion, but for what I'm doing, I'm just trying to get, like I said, the perch level or at 0 degrees of an angle, and then I'll set these at the same. I'm just going to tack them in place for now because I'm not really positive that everything's going to lay down exactly how I envision it. All right, so I got the perches tentatively in place, guys. When I did my calculations, let's see if you guys can understand this by looking at it. Probably not, but these are my leaf springs right here. I basically put my brackets on the frame, measured in between them, and then the eyes on the leaf springs, or I should say from the inside of both brackets, are 3 inches. So inside here is 3 inches. I needed 3 inches on both sides inside of these brackets. So if I take half of that, puts me down to 1.5, but then I multiply by 2, blah, 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 blah. And the only number you need to know is that from the inside of my spring perch to the outside of my spindle here, I'm 18.25 inches on both sides. So now that I know exactly where my leaf springs are going to lay, I could pull this off. I could finish grinding this down. I have to cut off both spring mounts because they're going to be in the way of the U-bolts. And like I said before, I'm going to leave this one just so I, no matter what, know my angle of the mounts themselves, the perches. So I want to apologize, guys. I know I've been jumping around a little bit. I had the front leaf spring brackets here, but I didn't like them there. I put the pumpkin too far back, and I was worried it was actually going to hit the tank. So I'm up in this spot right now. Once again, this might change, but I have it just pressed right up against this angle right here. My problem with the frame rails at this point, guys, and I got it pretty straight now, but my frame rails were actually like that on both sides. That one was that way, this one was this way. Back here, because I have this mount and it goes up underneath with the springs and everything, this frame is nice and straight, or dead perpendicular to the ground, I should say. So what I did over here was busted out the antique clamps. I C-clamped these to the frame, as you can see, and then I ran the long clamp across. Got it grabbing on that side, and I got it grabbing under here. And I started out at like 34.5 inches, which was really out of spec. If you guys remember, I needed 34 3/16. So I just keep bringing this in. The thing you have to remember is that steel springs back. So as I work this in, I keep measuring. I got it to be the measurement I want, but if I back off on the clamp, I'll actually spring back. Not as far back as I was originally, but it'll go probably, you know, half or something like that. So you actually have to go farther than you need to go, and I might have to reclamp this at some point, but for now, you know, I have about 1/2 inch of threads left. I'll probably go into about 34 inches and then hope that the spring back comes back to 34 3/16. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. All right, I'm definitely getting close, guys. Still about 1/4 inch out. What I think I'm gonna do, obviously I'm gonna keep working at it, see if I can get it to stay, but I think it just has a little bit too much tension on it. I'm going to, this is what I came up with, just a piece of 2x2 box tubing I had laying around. I'm going to get it in position and then just kind of weld this guy right in here. Just trying to find a good spot for it right now. I think if I put it there, I should clear the other drive shaft coming over the top to the next axle. And really there's nothing else that has to go there. It's kind of a big gap between the two anyway, so another cross member can't hurt, and that'll help pull the frame rail straight, like I said before. All right, so got this welded in quick, as you can see. And what I think I'm gonna do, once I get my my front mounts for the leaf springs figured out 100% the location, I'll probably make up an inner plate and kind of box this in, but this is gonna add a lot of strength to that pivot point right there, guys. All right, so here's the leaf springs I'm using for the secondary axle. Got the purchase still on here. Shackles, I guess, whatever the hell you call them, I don't know. Anyway, I tried this setup. I put it on an old rotor here, and I tried to hammer it out. Thing's not moving at all. I kept the nut on here because I thought maybe I could save these bolts, but I'm just gonna get all the hardware. So my next idea, I'm just gonna cut this right here, try to get this top piece off, and then see if I could drill around the rubber, kind of loosen it up, and then hammer it out. All right, guys, so this is what I came up with. Just an old brake rotor here. I bolted a C-clamp, or tightened a C-clamp against the bottom of the leaf pack. And what that does is, after I'm done drilling this out, I could flip it upright and then use the big C-clamp with a socket to kind of press out the remains of the bearing. Just helps to hold it. You know, when you're working by yourself, these things get a little bit clumsy on you sometimes. So anyway, not rocket science. I have a drill bit and actually grabbed an end mill. It's a 4-flute. I didn't go too crazy. A 2-flute would probably work better on the rubber. I don't know, but this works really well. I kind of just started my holes, working my way around, getting them in, you know, as many as I could. Kind of got it going on an angle like this. Probably will not be able to do this one-handed, but give it a shot. All right, staying corrected, guys. Anyway, just do that, go all the way down with the drill bit, then I kind of go in with the end mill and cut around as much as I can, flip it over, and do the same thing on the other side. All right, guys, we're gonna give this a shot. Just finished drilling out the bushing. I got the big C-clamp on there. Just got a big socket on the backside, and I'm gonna see if I can push it out. Whew, damn, that thing is hot. That's just from drilling and cutting up the rubber. The thing is too hot to actually touch. All right, that came out pretty easy, guys. Just have the outer steel ring left over inside. Probably take a Sawzall, see if I could cut it through there, and then maybe some chisels and punches, get it separated.